A happy new year to everyone, and I thought I'd better post a new video to let you see I'm still alive and kicking. Although I'm delighted January, the longest and darkest month of the year, is now over. I only managed out in the water twice this month. Once to the sea and yesterday to the promised land of Loch Etive. I did keep myself busy with boat things though, and ordered a new pair of dry trousers, the Palm Atom Bib, at 250 quid. I went for the more expensive trousers with the bib as they have a convenience zip, essential for a coffee lover like myself, who loves slurping his way around the loch. I'm absolutely delighted with them, very light, breathable and a good fit. It's important to know they are not waders. These dry trousers are designed with an adjustable elastic waistband to stop water flooding in the top should I fall overboard. They've also an elasticated fit around the bib section, for the same reason. This photograph nicely illustrates the Velcro adjustable waistband and elasticated bib area, which stops water flooding in when I fall overboard. It's too cold to make a video of me swimming in them just now, but you can be sure I will self-rescue in warmer weather. For me, it's important to practice things like that and not take it for granted it works. However, it is a better seal than my previous dry trousers, which I self-rescued in at least once a year, so I know it works. I did make a slight modification to the shoulder straps. When I got them, the straps were sewn to the bib, and although I could adjust the length of the straps, I found it awkward getting my stiff arms under them. I unstitched the straps and sewed them to these plastic snap clips, which makes it a breeze to put on and off over my shoulders. It's my only criticism for these trousers, as they are faultless otherwise, and it may just be me as my arm joints are stiffening with age, and certainly not as supple as they were 5 years ago. The trousers have sewn-in socks, so I stay warm and toasty when launching the boat. I have plenty of room for several thick socks on the feet, and a nice touch is an adjustable band which allows the top of my Lomo boots to fit inside the leg. The band helps keep sand and water out the Lomo boots too. So all in all, a great pair of trousers, and although expensive, well worth it for winter boating. While I had the sewing machine out for plastic clip modification, I also took the time to modify my thermal liner which I bought for under my dry suit. The thermal liner was a one-piece affair, and when I got caught short for a poo number 2, I never wore it again. I had to strip naked in a freezing cold shore to do the poo that day. It is a lovely warm garment though, so I snipped the legs off so I can use the fleece as a top under my clothing in the cold winter days. Not liking to waste anything, I decided the snipped off thermal legs could be stitched to a spare pair of pants. So I now have a practical and warm undersuit for boating in. I'm not sure why they don't make two-piece dry suit thermals, as a one-piece is asking for an accent if you constantly drip feed your stomach with sandwiches the way that I do. The next toy to tell about is I bought myself a new silky handsaw for cutting up the driftwood I find around the shores of Loch Etive. I use it in my wood burner in the house. I had been using the silky seal folding saw, but its blade was getting quite blunt, and unfortunately they are not resharpenable blades. I needed a new one, but this time I bought the silky Zubat 330 handsaw, as I was told it was even better than the folding saw. And I must say I am impressed with its performance. 5-inch diameter solid oak, cut as easy as a piece of softwood. And finally, I was throwing out a large cabinet loudspeaker that I bought back in the 80s. Before disposing of it, I took out the large powerful magnets. My idea was to use them for some magnet fishing. My imagination told me there were lots of discarded claymores and ski-and-doos, lying in the loch bottom around the old Victorian piers in Lochetif. I was keen to catch a few of them, so the rest of this video illustrates my day out playing with my new toys. I carried my small inflatable boat across the shore to the water's edge. One of the reasons I've not been boating much lately is the winter winds have dumped a thick pile of seaweed across the shore access, making it impossible to trail or launch, or even drive a car onto the shore. I left my car in the pier car park and carried everything to launch the boat. We had a nice spell of very cold weather at the start of January, but it's blown a hoolie ever since. And this is the first day the winds have dropped, and I was going to make the most of the calm day. I was also keen to keep my hand in at controlling the drone, as it had not been used much lately neither. It only took minutes to get the boat ready, and I was off. The new Yamaha 6 horsepower outboard purring perfectly. It's now run in, and I did the first oil changes and checks myself during the bad weather. It was a rather dull, drab winter's day, but I was warm as toast in my new dry trousers and two-piece thermal underwear. At least it was calm, and to be honest, it felt fantastic, being out and about again after my January hibernation. It was a pure pleasure breathing in the cold, clean atmosphere of such familiar places, and I was keen to catch my first claymore sword with the big magnet, so stopped off at the small jetty at Dow to try my luck fishing. I landed and launched the drone so as it could witness me catching my first rusty sword, or perhaps a bag of ancient coins people of old would have dropped overboard when getting in and out of their boats. I then headed off to clamber into my own boat, my feet carefully gripping the slippery concrete jetty. Ancient bones creaked and groaned as I hauled myself on board, and I was thankful not to drop the drone controller overboard as I went into the boat. I mused to myself that at least I could retrieve it with the big magnet. I was also glad I didn't slip and have to try self-rescuing my dry trousers on a freezing cold winter's day. I had carefully chosen this location for my first foray with the magnet, as I knew it was a sandy bottom here, and not too deep, around 10 feet or so. So rowed the boat to where I thought the lost treasures of old would be silently rusting in the seabed, and dropped the magnet down to rescue them. I guess I'd been a little naive, as I was honestly a bit disappointed I didn't catch anything straight away. I kept the magnet bouncing in the bottom so that it wouldn't get caught in any rocks, and every so often pulled it back to the boat to check if I'd caught anything. I did catch a lot of small pieces of rust, presumably from the jetty ironwork, but I didn't catch so much as a copper penny or a single rusty nail. With hindsight, I now realise I should have used the drone to see who the lost treasures were located, as I see it witnessed everything, including the seabed around the jetty. It's a time to head for deeper water, as anything here would have been found long ago, especially at low tide when I could have walked out and picked it up anyway. But then that's the joys of fishing. I'm sure I've often fished for fish, and there have been none within a mile of my bait. However, before heading for deeper water, my stomach told me it was now lunchtime, and as I was not far from the wee out-the-way bay I often camped at, I headed there. I always feel like I'm coming home now when I land here. I headed for the big rock seat, had a coffee and sandwich, then checked the area I cleared for the tent was still flat and weed-free. It's not changed in the slightest since I last camped here, which was last Easter. I then sent the drone out to have a nosy around as I dreamed of coming back here with the tent, hopefully in March as the days start to get a bit lighter. When the drone returned, I clambered back into the boat and made my way to the old piers at Bar, where the Victorian steamships used to land. It's deepish water there, and again I was sure that if I didn't catch a claymore sword, I would at least catch a drop fishing rod and reel, as it's quite a popular fishing spot. However, after another 15 minutes of magnet fishing and catching absolutely nothing, I got bored and decided it wasn't a good day for fishing. I felt that a far better way for me to pass the time of day was to head for the woods and start collecting some driftwood to replace the logs I had burned already over the winter. I let the driftwood dry out completely over the summer before using it the following winter, and soon had a nice pile of old oak which burns well. My silky Zubat handsaw was no longer a virgin, and although it wasn't a cheap cut, it will pay its way heating my house next winter. Then, to end the perfect day in the promised land, I landed in the sandy shores opposite Bar and used the last of the drone battery having a look around there. There is certainly plenty of driftwood in the shores following the winter storms. I then headed for home a happy man, even though I didn't catch a thing fishing. But then I accept life is never perfect. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.